some are saying the two-state solution is dead. Is it viable, and how, given the circumstances that we see now, how can it be achieved? Or how can any solution be achieved? And is there any other alternative to the two? Some people say it's dead. Is there, well, if it's dead, then is there any other alternative? And if it's not dead, how can it be achieved, in your view?
Every 2 or 3 years or so, somebody comes and proclaims the two-state solution as being dead. It has been a recurring theme in the past years. People are despairing because the struggle against the occupation has been going on for many decades, and people are looking at the horrific crimes that are being committed against the Palestinian people by the Israeli government, and from that feeling of despair comes the notion that the two-state solution is dead, and we are stuck perhaps in a perpetual situation of occupation. But if we look at the situation right now, some advocate the so-called one-state solution as an alternative to the two-state solution. If you look at the situation right now in Israel and Palestine, we have a one-state reality. Israel is the sole country, the sole state that controls all of the territory and all of the population between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. Both the sovereign state of Israel, and also is in control of the West Bank, of East Jerusalem, and in a sense also of Gaza Strip. So those that put forward the idea of one-state solution need to explain how will their model, how will their idea will be differing from the situation that we have on the grounds right now. We have a situation in which the majority of Palestinians are oppressed because they cannot express their right to national self-determination. They are expressed also economically because the GDP in the occupied territories is far lesser than that inside Israel. The Palestinian workers who work inside Israel are being exploited, and within the occupied territories there's a high percent of unemployment. There's practically no independent Palestinian economy that had developed in the past few years, not before the Oslo Accords in 1993, and also not in the 20 years that have passed since. So if we say now, let's have a one-state solution tomorrow, let's have a singular state comprising of all the Israelis and the Palestinians who live in this country, we will actually have what we have now. We will have a state in which people will be oppressed both nationally and economically, and we'll have a state that within it tries to deal with all the contradictions that arose because of the many years of the national conflict, of the occupation. The two-state solution is a possibility to end this crisis. Not the reason for the crisis. It is not the reason for the crisis, but it is a possibility to end it. We have a large percentage inside Israeli society that supports a Palestinian state established alongside Israel. In a public opinion poll that was conducted a year ago, just before the negotiations between Israel and the PLO were resumed, 59% of Israelis supported resuming the talks, and 55% supported the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. There is a Jerusalem-based media center called JMCC that publishes public opinion polls about how do Palestinians in the occupied territories view different political questions. It had been doing so for many years, and it has archives that go way back. It's available online. I encourage our viewers to take a look, JMCC. And in it, we find that despite the occupation, despite the periodic waves of violence, despite the escalation, despite the death and the terror that the occupation brings on the Palestinian people, there still is a strong percentage, a strong majority within the Palestinian people in the occupied territories that support negotiations with Israel and support the establishment of a Palestinian state alongside Israel. And not only among Israelis and Palestinians do we have a majority that supports the two-state solution, but it has also become the international consensus. We have UN resolutions, we have governments, also nominally the US government, as well as the EU, the European Union, that press for this solution to be met. And this is quite an achievement, because if we look back historically, mere 25 years ago, practically no one was speaking seriously about the two-state solution, about a Palestinian state alongside Israel. In the late 1980s, for example, those parties, political parties in Israel that are left of center, for example, the Labour Party, which for many years have been leading the so-called peace camp or left wing in Israel, it had not supported neither negotiations with the PLO nor establishing an independent Palestinian state. But in the past 25 years, there has been such a tremendous breakthrough that the majority of Israelis once did not support evacuating settlements, dismantling settlements, now in support of such a thing. In the past, we had a law that says that meeting with the PLO was illegal. Now, government ministers from right-wing parties, not only left-wing parties, meet with the PLO. So much progress has been made in the past 25 years, and this progress forms a basis for optimism that further progress can be made.